What's up, Pags here at MEI Studio. Today we're diving into a company that's been pushing the boundaries of microphone technology in a way that's more scientific than most of us even need. We're taking a look at Earthworks and the DM20 Gen2, this time on the Mic Locker. If this is your first time here, welcome. We look at studio equipment and check out the history of the gear that we use. So, as we do here, let's take a look at Earthworks and its founder, David Blackmer. Born in 1927 in Massachusetts, David Blackmer was a classic audio nerd in the best possible way. By the age of 10, he started building radios and tinkering with other electronic devices, and later on, he got a job working for Lafayette Radio Repair Company in Boston. There, David was able to fix radios that were left as unfixable by other technicians, which impressed his supervisors and helped him climb up the chain a bit. He would go on to further his studies in electronics when he was serving in the U.S. Navy. From there, he attended MIT and Harvard University, but left as he felt that the curriculum wasn't really giving him what he wanted. However, that experience would help get his foot in the door at a number of companies like Trans Radio Recording Studio, EBSCO, Hycon Eastern, and Raytheon, where he designed telemetry systems for the Mercury space program. This background in precision engineering laid the groundwork for everything he would go on to build in the world of pro audio. He was never content with good enough. He wanted perfection, or at least to chase it as far as the technology would allow him to. In 1971, he founded DBX Incorporated. Yes, that DBX. If you've ever used a VCA compressor or used hardware noise reduction, chances are David had a hand in making that possible. The DBX Compander, RMS detectors, VCAs, he helped design all of them. In 1979, Blackmer sold DBX to BSR, a British company that owned a few audio ventures at the time. But retirement wasn't really his style, and I'm sure having 10 children running around didn't help either. Instead, he dove deeper into the science of sound. In 1989, Blackmer founded Earthworks Audio in New Hampshire. Not originally with the goal of building studio mics, but to create ultra-accurate measurement tools. These were scientific instruments meant for labs, architectural acoustics, and researchers who needed precision. The first microphones weren't aimed at musicians at all, they were meant for scientists. But a funny thing happened. A piano player came into his shop and told him that the mics that he was producing sounded great on the piano, and that he had a pretty good product that could probably be used by the audio community. Audio engineers started using those mics for instruments because, well, they sounded incredible. Suddenly, the scientific-grade measurement mics were popping up on studio sessions all over. The first Earthworks mics that really hit the broader recording market was the TC30, which was a small diaphragm omnidirectional condenser mic that picked up all the way to 30 kilohertz. Over the years, Earthworks expanded their lineup to include a range of mics tailored to both scientific and musical needs, like the QTC series for extremely quiet sources, the SR series for live sound, and the FM series for installed conference and podium use. The M series mics became a standard for measurement and acoustic testing, while more recently the Ethos and Icon lines targeted content creators and broadcasters. What started as a scientific project became a microphone company trusted by engineers in studios, stages, boardrooms, and laboratories. So, Dave had one quirk that he was very verbal about: extended frequency response beyond 20 kilohertz. The human ear generally doesn't hear beyond 20 kilohertz. The argument can be made that most adults can't even hear much above 16 to 18K, depending on how much abuse they've taken, and most of the adults that I know can probably hear even less. And most digital audio systems, especially those running at 48 kilohertz, can only capture frequencies up to 24 kilohertz because of the Nyquist limit. Add in anti-aliasing filters that cut off everything above that range anyway to avoid distortion, and you're not even capturing that super high stuff to disc anyway. So what is the point? Supporters of high-frequency capture argue that even if we can't hear those frequencies, they influence how we perceive transients and spatial detail. Earthworks' design philosophy hinges on speed, fast transient response, accurate impulse behavior, and clean off-axis capture. I, however, am still not a believer in fast transient response. Another story for another day. However, their theory is if you make a microphone that can handle 30 kilohertz, it'll perform better across the entire range that we can hear. But researchers like Dr. Floyd Toole, who's a pretty big name in psychoacoustics, found that extended frequency response isn't nearly as important to our perception of sound as a smooth frequency curve and solid directionality. So we have theories and tests of those theories finding completely different results. So unless you're recording 96 kilohertz or higher, and unless your listeners are bats, dogs, or scientific instruments, the extra bandwidth might not be buying you anything in practical terms. Still, Earthworks mics are used in scientific and industrial applications where high-frequency capture is essential. Things like bad echolocation, ultrasound testing, and precision measurements. So the capability does matter in those worlds, but for regular recording though, I honestly can't see it being a make or break kind of thing for recording. It's just my opinion. In addition, no playback media is reproducing these sounds, and since filters are preventing foldback for the most part, I mean, logically, it's not even getting to the end user anyway. David Blackmer passed away in 2002 after a battle with cancer at the age of 75. While his name might not be mentioned often as the likes of George Neumann or Rupert Neve, his work reshaped both analog processing and digital era microphone designs for the better. Earthworks continues to honor that legacy to this day, producing a catalog of sturdy, well-built instruments of the trade. Now, let's get into the mic itself, the Earthworks DM20 Gen2. It's a small diaphragm electret condenser designed specifically for close miking drums, especially toms and snares. It's a pressure gradient transducer with active Class A circuitry running off of 48-volt phantom power, including a built-in preamp that gives the mic its signature clean response. Compared to the original DM20, though, the Gen 2 version brings some thoughtful refinements rather than radical changes. The core specs, like the cardioid pattern, 157 dB SPL handling, and the 20 to 20 kilohertz frequency response, all remain the same. But the Gen 2 sees improvements in overall build durability, a more robust gooseneck, and a minor circuit enhancement that makes it slightly more resistant to handling noise and interference. Not that you're going to be handling these mics. The mic's housing is stainless steel. The gooseneck is solid and offers a sturdy, articulate range of motion, but it is a bit stubborn. Earthworks doesn't go into detail about the diaphragm materials or full circuit topology. I assume trade secrets, but the mic is solid nonetheless and ready for stage or studio use. One thing worth mentioning about the previous version and this version is this. Looks like there's been a marked improvement in the polar pattern response, which was a gripe of a lot of users of the first generation of the mic, especially with cymbal bleed and hat bleed on the snare. If these diagrams are to be believed, the off-axis rejection has improved significantly, especially in the upper frequencies where it matters for cymbal bleed. So this should be a welcome change for the better. Now, let's talk about one thing that might not have been as well thought out, the clip. On paper, the RM2 rim mount is a brilliant idea. It clips directly onto the drum's rim, eliminating the need for a stand, which I love. The clip also does not get in the way of the skin and touch the skin or mute anything at all, so that's another plus. That keeps your setup clean and saves space on crowded stages or in cramped rooms. In reality, it's not the most user-friendly. The clip is tight, like really tight.
Tight like a tiger.
Getting the mic into place feels more like forcing a round peg into a square hole. It's technically possible, but not without some colorful swearing. Once it's in, rotating the gooseneck to the correct angle can be a frustrating experience. Because the mic sits so tightly in the clip, the body itself can't really rotate freely, so getting the head of the mic into the ideal position becomes a frustrating ordeal. Forcing the rotation makes me feel like it's going to break off, even though the gooseneck is really beefy. It's tight. Earthworks even had to release a diagram and a how-to video just to help users get the mic into the clip. It works, but it's not the most intuitive part of the package. Okay, I'm going to try and give you my version of putting the microphone into the clip for this thing. One thing you have to know first is on the clip, there's a little indentation on the side. It looks like a little notch. What you want to do is make sure that you have the microphone pointing in the direction that you're going to need to use it, because turning it later on might not be an option. So we have the microphone in our left hand, and we're going to make sure that the mic is pointing the direction that we want to record. Clip in the right hand, and we're going to push the notch into the body of the microphone. And you kind of want to slide it a little bit as you push so that that notch kind of opens up a little bit, and there you go. So now if I try to rotate this mic in the clip, it's not turning. I mean, if you really grip hard and turn as hard as you can, it will spin a little bit, but it's not fun. Dumb. I'm slightly annoyed that a normal clip is not offered with the mic. They're really pushing the drum set only thing by only giving you the rim mount clip. While I get it, I can't see this mic only being useful for just drums. Today we're going to compare the DM20 to a few other clip style mics that we have in the studio on the drums, and maybe on a couple other things as well. We have the Neumann MCM114, the vintage Shure SM98, and the vintage AKG C418. Since the given clip is essentially a drum hoop connection and there's no stand connection, the message is clear that these are supposed to be drum mics. Thankfully, however, unlike the SM98 and the Neumann MCM114, they're not like this big, and you can actually put these mics on standard clips if you do want to use them other places. It's just that Earthworks doesn't give you those clips. Let's get to it. David Blackmer didn't believe in compromise. He believed in chasing the absolute best possible capture of sound, whether that meant going beyond human hearing or just designing a better clip mount. Okay, maybe not that last part, but the DM20 Gen2 continues that mission. It's precise, clean, and maybe a little too clever for its own good when it comes to mounting and the clip that they give it on. Yeah, I really have a thing for this clip, sorry. But in terms of what it captures, it sounds good. Is it going to replace my SM98s? That's still up for debate. For rock, probably not. But for lighter stuff like jazz and singer-songwriter type things, I think I actually might prefer the uncolored sound of the DM20s. The SM98s do have a little bit of a scoop and a bump in the bass that the DM20 doesn't have. But what did you think about it? Leave me some messages down below. Have you used the Earthworks mics on drums or acoustic instruments or anything else? Do you think capturing above 20 kilohertz actually buys you anything in practical recording sessions? As always, if you gotten anything from today's video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It'll really help us out. If you want to be notified when we drop a new video, hit that notify button as well. Doesn't always work, but who knows, you might get lucky. If you have any questions about this video or have a suggestion for a future video, please hit me up in the comments or get me through the website. I've gotten a few suggestions in the last couple of weeks, and I love hearing from all of you. That's going to do it for this time. This is Pags, signing off. These were scientific instruments, and I'm choking on my word, but a funny thing happened. And if you add an anti-aliasing filter, why can't I read that? Wow. The extra bandwidth might not be buying you anything in terms of practical terms. In terms of practical terms, does that make any sense? No, it doesn't make any sense, so we're going to cut that. Practicality. I still fucked that up. No playback meter. Catalog of sturdy, well-built instruments for the studio and for scientific something or other, and my teleprompter just went completely blank. Beep. The Gen 2 version brings some thoughtful which includes a more robust. We're gonna say robust. The gooseneck is a solid, kind of really pushing the drum set only thing by only giving the clip a rim clip. The clip, rim, clip, rim, clip, rim, clip. I'm really hoping to see whether or not the DM20 is going to be something. While not intended for piano use,